Isn't it funny to notice the one who's always struggling? And even more so, the irony of the one who's struggling to be here, to be present. I was walking yesterday in Palos Verdes, in the cliffs and hiking trails near the southern bay of Los Angeles. And I was walking and just had this feeling like I'm struggling with myself to be here. I'm struggling with myself to be here. And it kind of had a big click. It was like, okay, well, who's the one who's struggling? And who's the one that's listening to the one struggling? You know? It can't be two. You know? It's so funny. It's like a fish struggling to be in the water. Right? You know, like how silly is it that just the notion of a fish struggling to be a fish? Not even to be in water, but just to be a fish. Or the sky struggling to be the sky. The cloud struggling to be a cloud. The bird struggling to be a bird. You don't see this in nature other than in humans. It's so funny. I mean, especially in spiritual circles. You know? It seems that humans are the only creatures that struggle to be what they already are. Sure, you know, we struggle to be rich, and we struggle to have the houses and the degrees and the relationships and all that stuff, you know? But, you know, what we have is not really what we fundamentally are, right? What we have is completely different than what we are. Having comes and goes. Always changing. Always in flux. Always appearing and dissolving. But what we are, what you are, is and always will be. You know, the same thing that was gazing through your eyes as a child when you're looking in a mirror. You know, that very same thing is gazing right now. And when you're old and I'm old, if we have the privilege to grow old, and we look at mirrors then, you know, the same thing is going to be looking and gazing through those eyes then too. That's it. That's what we are. And how we look is always changing, and how we sound is changing. Our life circumstances, the people in it, our jobs. But beneath all of that, beneath all of that, what we are is and always will be. Yeah, this was such a big click for me. You know, it moved me deeply. And I don't have to struggle. I don't have to struggle to be what I already am. Neither do you. Just like the dog doesn't have to struggle to be a dog. The tree doesn't have to struggle to be a tree, and doesn't. The cloud doesn't struggle to be a cloud. I am doesn't need to struggle to be the I am. I don't know how many people out there can relate to this, but I hope there's at least one. No, there must be. You know, I mean, in the past 10 years of my life, it's been a marathon. It's been a spiritual sprint. Oh my God, the amount of retreats I've been on. I'm not proud of it. It's kind of sad. Sometimes in spiritual circles, you know, people tend to brag, oh, I've been on this retreat and that retreat and this retreat and that retreat. Well, you know, it's like kind of like being a 12th year senior in high school bragging. You know? At a certain point, you just kind of want to graduate. Right? So, just like feeling that, don't need to struggle. Just like letting that in. You know, we're hardwired to struggle. From an evolutionary point of view, it's part of our programming to struggle. But that's also part of the profound transformation that can happen when we experiment with what it's like to not struggle. That's the beauty. You don't have to do anything to be what you already are. You don't have to change anything to be what you already are. The mountain doesn't have to struggle to be a mountain. The spirit I am dimension within you doesn't need to struggle to be what it already is. You know, I've read so many books. I've been to so many masters and teachers. And I can really say that the core of all of it is just to be here, to be present, to let go of the mind and experience reality as it is. Experience life as it is. Choosing to be with reality opposed to our mental imaginations and constructs, stories, traumas, anticipations, anxieties, fears. It's endless. And, you know, when our thoughts come, boy, do they feel real. Boy, are they convincing. You know, the thoughts we have can be more convincing than, you know, any IMAX 4D whatever experience. You know? It's interesting though, I've always felt that when we go to the movies, and this component of you're sitting in the movie theater, and you know you're kind of identify with the main character and the story, and it's so captivating, you know. And then the hero's pain is your pain, and the hero's triumph is your triumph, and the hero's loss is your loss, the hero's gain is your gain, and you kind of forget you're even sitting in a movie theater. It just becomes so real. And you know, our minds kind of have this quality to it, this very convincing, theatrical component, you know. And I think the key thing here, the common thread, is the identity factor. You know, when kind of you're sitting in the movie theater seat, and the moment you identify with the main character, which most of us go to movies that we do identify with the main character. That's what kind of gets us in the seats, you know. But as soon as we identify with that character, boy, you don't even realize you're sitting in a movie theater anymore. You know? At least until you feel the stickiness on your feet when you try to lift your Converse shoes, you know? But like, our mind has that totally same capacity, you know? The moment we buy into it, boy, you know, you forget that you're not it. And you know, spirituality can be very convoluted and complicated. Lots of promises and concepts and astral realms and angelic realms and this spiritual world and that spiritual world and, you know, this archetype and that archetype. You know, it can be very heady. But that's not it, man. Mm-mm. You know, freedom is freedom from the mind. Just trying to find freedom within the mind is like trying to draw pictures of the beach while on the wall on your prison cell wall. You know, it's the same thing. That's the type of person I'd probably be. You know, I'd just be like drawing little pictures on the wall. So, just decided to do this spontaneous video. I'm in a library right now. It's closed. The only one in this building. And just felt inspired to share this in hopes that maybe you too can let into your heart that you don't need to struggle to be what you already are. And if you can lose something, I promise you it's not you, and it never was you. And losing things can be scary and painful, you know, but it's a wake-up call, because if you lose something and you're still sticking around, well, guess what? I have news for you, it was never you. Everyone has had moments, glimpses, you know, everybody, where their mind is just quiet for a few moments. You know, they might be playing golf, watching the sunset, or hiking, or just at a park, you know, but it's so ordinary. We all go through this, we all experience this. And if our thoughts can disappear even for a moment and we're still there, well then, are we really our thoughts? I promise you, if you can lose something, it's not you. Never was you. So, may we all find that which we already are, that which we can never lose, that which is the connective tissue between the entire fractal web of life. the lowest common denominator of existence is this I am. This I am presence. So, let's struggle less to be what we already are. Yeah. Between you and me, I hope you gain something from this. And from my heart to yours, I hope you have a beautiful night or day. You know, it's another thing I've always thought is funny is, so the fact that right now, someone around the globe, it's a day, it's, middle of the day right now, and for here, it's like midnight, and we could be talking to each other, and it's the exact same moment. And for me, it just kind of illustrates the arbitrary nature of time, or clock time, I should say, the arbitrary nature of 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So, whatever time it is, the time is now for you and for I. And thank you. Here's to struggling less and being more.